Hello, everyone. Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. Can everyone hear me, please? Okay. So I guess we'll just have to wait for more people to join. So while we are waiting, as usual, I'll probably just share my screen and so can everyone see my screen, please? And hope I am not breaking. Hope I am audible enough. Um, looks like hello. Okay, so am I still breaking? Please tell me if I am still breaking. I like to believe I am no longer breaking. But I don't think my screen is sharing any longer. Hello? Okay. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So I think I will just start now. Yeah, I'm not more sharing my screen. I will start sharing soon. So welcome to today's office hours, and as usual, we'll be talking about Python, and I'll be taking your Python related questions. So this topic, we are covering classes and objects, object-oriented programming in Python. And as a continuation from yesterday, we talked about classes, and I'll be talking more about the four components of object-oriented programming. So we talked about classes, we talked about objects, talked about how we can create objects in Python. Also talked about methods, class attributes and instance, class variables and instance variables. So if you were not here for yesterday's class, I suggest you just, after this class, watch yesterday's session and you most likely understand what we are talking about. So hope everyone can see my screen. I am sharing my screen now. So if you have any question, you can paste them in the comment section and I will definitely answer. But please take note, your question should be related to Python and to be related to this week's task and also Python, of course, but it should be related to this week's task or this week's topic. Okay. So is there any question? Uh, okay, so I can't, there's no activity in the comment section. Everywhere is dry. Hello, can everyone hear me? Okay, sure. If you have questions from last week, you can shoot. Yeah, we have just 18 people. Okay, now 16 people watching. So it's been in comparison to the usual class attendance we used to have. Okay, so okay, seems someone wanted to ask a question from last week. It's fine, you can ask. Okay, because we have Python classes on Saturday. Weekdays are already filled. So the thing is, there are classes already on Saturdays. I think there is a design. I'm not sure of the schedule, but I know there are classes on Saturdays, and Saturdays are I most likely am not free to take a class on Saturday. So I'll see if I can look into it. Okay, so since there is an absence of questions and the class activity and the activity in the comment section is a bit dry, um, let's see if we can touch on inheritance. So that is what we failed to talk about yesterday. So we looked into methods and objects. So let's just take a quick recap of what OP is. So OP is a concept whereby we use objects to solve problems. So an object is an instance of a class. An object um, is created from a class. A class is a blueprint. And when we instantiate a class, we create an object. Now, an object has two characteristics. An object has attributes and behavior. For example, a car. The attributes of a car will most likely be its color, the shape, the size, the model, the brand, things like that. And the behavior will most likely be the fact that the car can move, can horn, can drive from a point to another, can reverse, things like this, or things like that, rather. So we have attributes and behaviors of an object. Now, the concept of OOP in Python focuses on creating reusable code. So with OOP, we don't get to repeat ourselves. So there's a principle in Python known as the drive principle, which is don't repeat yourself. So the concept of OOP allows us to write reusable code that can be used later on in other places in our code. So we talked about classes being blueprints, objects, then we looked into the four main components of object-oriented programming. We talked about inheritance, we talked about abstraction, talked about encapsulation and polymorphism. Say inheritance is the ability to create classes, or for a class to inherit the properties of another class, which is the base class. The base class is the parent class. So the child class is the one that is being created or derived from the base class. So we talked about in abstraction, which is giving only exposing what a particular object needs at a time. You are hiding the complexities of the whole system and only giving out what the person needs at that particular time. We talked about encapsulation, whereby encapsulation is hiding details, not letting just any object get an access to a particular attribute such that they can modify that attribute. We talked about polymorphism, which is the ability of a class or an object to take many shape or form. So that is just it. So I said we were going to look into inheritance today and most likely encapsulation. So I will just begin. So I'll just be using an example. So this example was gotten online so that it will be easy to understand. So let's create a simple class called bird and pass. Please give me a second or two to rectify something. Comment. Okay, sorry, I am back. Sorry, I went to rectify something. So I said we'll be using an example. I got it online, so it's really easy to understand. So I'll be creating a simple class called bed. Now, the bed will have some methods or some behaviors. Like, let's just say, okay, let's define a constructor. So yes, we also talked about constructors yesterday, what constructors are and how they initialize an object. So it's a common saying that a bird can sing. I will just add it as a behavior. As a bird can fly, depending on the type of bird. Now let's leave this as it is. Okay, let's add one more. So I believe everyone can hear me, please. So I believe everyone can hear me. If you cannot hear me, signify in the comment section. So let's call this the parents class or the base class. So let's create another class called Eagle. So before we continue with our Eagle class, I have this syntax here. So yesterday I said something that we add this parenthesis when we want to inherit from another class. So this is how inheritance works in Python classes. Use the parentheses and the class you are inheriting from inside the parentheses. So let's create an object called I'm doing this to make sure this works. Um, let's run this code. Let's see if we can successfully create an object from class bed. I'm just going to take this off. So bed is ready, and we have our bed objects, which is because we are printing it here. So, like I mentioned yesterday, we are getting this bed is ready because our constructor runs first before any other method. So when we create a class and an object, when we instantiate a class, our constructor runs before any other method is run in our objects, or before we call any other method. So anything in our constructor runs when we create an object. So here, as we created the object on line 17, this constructor method runs, and bed is ready is printed to the console. So we have our bed objects ready. So if you do blue dots stream, this works, swim fast. Then we get none because we don't have the return value for that method. So let's just leave that. That is fine. But this is not what we are trying to do, obviously. We are trying to make use of inheritance. So we most likely will be working with the eagle class here to show how it inherits from the bed class. So let us define a constructor. Now, I was hoping to write this by hand, so let me just do this. This weird looking syntax here after the constructor method of this eagle class is saying this line of code on line 17 is saying that we want to call the constructor method of our base class, of our parent class. So whenever we create an object from the eagle class, whenever we create an eagle object, our constructor runs, obviously. Now, when our constructor runs, it sees this line of code on line 17, and it understands that it also wants to run the constructor of our parent class. So when this guy is running, this constructor is running, our constructor in the parent class would also run because we are calling it here. So we are calling the constructor of the parent class. So I'm just going to show you print. Let's create an object. And let's give, okay. Okay, do I even need to print it? Well, let me print it. So let me look at this. I was not looking at the someone said they can't hear me. Someone said they can't hear me. Please, just to confirm, can everyone hear me? Hello? Just to confirm, can everyone hear me? Okay, awesome. Okay, okay. So yeah, because I just saw a message that said you can't hear me. So now if you notice the code, you probably can read through and understand what is happening. So we are creating an object from the Eagle class, and our constructor runs, which is supposed to run, obviously. So it is printing, Eagle is ready to sew. Also, is this also? So our parents constructor, the parents class, the constructor in the parent class is also called, and that's will run. So when we call that here, it is also running, and we have bed is ready in our console, in our terminal. So let's just create more methods. So, okay, so let's print, or let's call our methods. So take note, we are not using anything yet that has to do with inheritance. We are just inheriting the properties, but we've not really done anything yet. So so in our console, we have Eagle is ready to. Oh, sorry, I'm getting messages on Slack, and I don't know why. Okay. We have bed is ready, Eagle is flying high, and Eagle can also sing, because we have those methods in our Eagle class, obviously. So we will get this printed in console. But notice we have a swim method here that our Eagle does not have. So our Eagle does not have, let me make this clearer so you can also follow along. Let me take this out. Okay. So here we have a swim method, but our Eagle does not have a swim method. So let's see how inheritance works. So we have an object from the Eagle class. We can also call the swim method because it is inheriting from the bed class. So it has an access to all the methods and attributes from the bed class. So if I call blue.swim and I run the code, we also get swim fast. So we are inheriting the method of the bed class, and we are calling the method here, even though our object is of Eagle class and it does not have a swim method. This is how inheritance works. If we also have a class attribute, okay, so let me call the method, the swim method, or the sing method here, not from the objects, from the class itself. Just use super dot sing. So the super keyword is referring to the base class, the base class, the parent class. So we get, okay, let me just take these guys out, because I don't want to say all this then sitting in the icon. So we get la la la, and eagle can also sing. So I believe you understand what I am saying. I'm really not teaching it in depth because I feel this is like an easy example and everyone is following. So if you don't understand anything, please let me know and I can go over it again. So the inheritance works like this. We have a class that inherits from another class. So while inheriting from the base class or from the parents class, we have access, or we have a way to make use of the methods and attributes of the parents class. So I hope that is clear. Is there any question? Mm, don't understand how you printed out. I just printed out the objects. When you print the objects, print. So okay, so I will show you something now. So when I print blue, I get the object. So I'll show you something now. So you can get an access to, I think I mentioned this in like our first class. You can get an access to all the functions and methods available to you in like about an object. So when you use this dir, then the name of it works with any object, any string, any integer. It just works with any variable and any objects in Python. You can use this dir keyword and you get a list of all the methods available to you. So if you notice my console, I have these methods. So I have the class, I have these guys, then I also have the fly method, the sing method, and interestingly, I have the swim method available to my objects. So even though my class does not have the swim method, I can still make use of the swim method and it is available to my objects. So you can use the dir keyword. It's a function. You can use it to get a hold of all the methods available to you. So when you print you get the class, which is eagle. Then if you want to get the name of the class, eagle, then you can use doc. If we had a doc string, you can use doc. But we don't have our doc string, so not will get none. So you can do that and it should be made available to you. What else? I was about explaining something. Okay, so let's go into, I want to talk about encapsulation a bit. So we'll be using a different example whereby we can actually modify a value. So I'll be deleting all this. So hope everyone understands, because once I delete this, I would not be able to go back to this example. So hope everyone understands. Okay. So it looks like everyone understands because I have not seen any message. So let me talk a bit about encapsulation. So we have class um bicycle. Oh, um then we have let's just leave this one. See, then so I have a simple bicycle class here and I have an object B of bicycle class. So what I want to do in this constructor is I want to set a private variable. No, or not like a private, I want to restrict access to my variable. So in Python, we denote private attributes with an underscore or a double underscore. With a single underscore or a double underscore. I would explain that. I'll show you that in a moment now. So when we do that, it prevents data from being modified directly. In other words, we are encapsulating the data. So I want to have like a price of, because the very idea of the class here of this code is I want to be able to sell this I want to be able to sell this bicycle. So I want to set a max price such that no one actually goes, or a minimum price so that no one actually goes beyond and below that price. So sell dots. This is just a simple instance attribute, instance variable. But I want to make it private. So what I would do is I put this double underscore or a single underscore, still works. But now we have made this private. So anytime I try to modify this guy, I will get an error. I will not like I will get an error. I will not be able to modify it. So let's say 300, something like this. Let's do this. So I do this in I call this, I'll show you, I will explain what I'm trying to do in a bit. So D dot sell. I am about to sell this bicycle for $300. So let's call this bid. So bid, and let's give this guy 200. So most likely we'll get your bid is too low, obviously. So your bid is too low. And now let's make this 400. But before we do that, let's print self dots. So we get in our console, we get 300, which is because we are printing the minimum price. And we have this condition that says if the price we are passing in is greater than the minimum price, then we want to actually change the minimum price. Like we want to set the minimum price to be the current price that we are passing in as an argument. But okay, I am not printing. I want to show you what happens when we do this. So self the minimum price is 400. No, this is supposed to not work. Give me a second. This is not supposed to work. It's supposed to still give me 300. I'm coming. Made a mistake somewhere. Give me a second, please. I made a mistake somewhere in this code. So print of the minimum price. Sorry, wait, give me a second. Let's tweak this out. This print statement. So before I bid, I want to call b dots I want to print this. Okay, so I have confirmed what I wanted to confirm. So let me show you what happens when I take out the double underscore. Then I'll go back to what I was explaining. So here we have the object. So let's change the instance variable. Let's make this 100. But I am surprised. Okay. So here, even though we have our, let's print this guy twice. So we have the bicycle objects and we are printing out the minimum price of the bicycle object, which is 300. Now, I changed the value of the minimum price and I am printing it out on the terminal. I changed it to 100 and I am printing it out on the terminal and it's showing that it is 100, which is, it has changed. But putting the double underscore, it makes it a private attribute, which means it cannot be changed. So when I do this, this, and where's the last one? Okay. Okay, so this. Now take notes, the last time it changed to 100. So now when we print this out on the console, we still get, why is this giving me an error? Bicycle object has no attributes, minimum price. Give me a second. Oh God, this code runner has started again. So apparently we can only get it through calling the cell method, so b.cell, because b.cell is obviously calling the minimum price within the class. So we can do b.cell. Okay, I think I might need to restart my VS Code. I'm coming. Give me a second. This code runner is giving me issues. So please just give me a second to close and open my VS Code. Okay, someone said is all these things in our material. I'm pretty sure it's covered in the they talked about classes. But yeah, this one I am probably just going in depth into the OOP inheritance, because I said we were going to talk about inheritance today. And this is the encapsulation. It's not really in the resources, just me showing, because someone mentioned it yesterday if um I was going to talk about inheritance and the rest today. So can everyone see my screen? Let me share. So can everyone see my screen now? So I am just going to try running. Why do people keep tagging me on Slack? Okay, so let's rerun this code. It shouldn't give me an error now. Print. Oh, okay, awesome. So it says I am about to sell this bicycle for $300. Even though we are changing the value of minimum price, just to show you again, even though we are changing the value of minimum price, let me take this out. Let me take this out. And now, if you notice, before making it private, we can actually change or modify the value of minimum price. But when we make it private, we can no longer do that. And that is how encapsulation works. With encapsulation, we cannot modify the values of a private attribute because we have already made it private. So let me see if we can run the bid now. So price, if price is greater than, okay, so let's call bid dots bid, and let's bid for 500. This is greater than 300, obviously. So we are expecting it to change based on our logic here. We are expecting it to change anytime we call b.sell. So B is not defined. How is B not defined? Good runner. Good runner, stop stressing me. So I am about to sell this for $500. No, this is not supposed to be able to change. There's an issue here. This is not supposed to be able to change. The logic works, but why is bid now changing? Give me a second. Sell the minimum price. Wait, let's take out this if else statement and let's just do sell dots. So I can see what is wrong. Oh wait, let me make this a setup one. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. So this will not work. This would obviously not be able to change it. Okay, so I would explain why. Oh, why is it still working? This is not supposed to work. this. Um, okay. So can everyone hear me? I believe you cannot see my screen. I stopped sharing. Okay, you should be able to see my screen now. Oh God, I just realized why I was having the issue all along. My bad. So sorry, I kept changing it and I was hoping the thing would not work. So the reason why it was working, so let me explain this now. So the reason why it was working was because I am changing it within the class. So as long as you are changing as long as you are changing the the attributes within the class, it will definitely work. So this is not changing it, obviously. So if I print, if I call the cell method here, we will still get 300, even though we are changing the minimum price to be 100 here, we will still get 300. But because we are changing it within the class, it will definitely change the object, the attributes rather. So if I run this, I will get, I'm about to sell this bicycle for 300, then I'm about to sell this bicycle for 500. You can change it within the class. Sorry, I skipped me. I was trying to change it. So you cannot change a private attribute outside of the class. Take notes. You cannot change a private attribute outside of the class. You can only change it within that class itself. So you cannot have another. Let's have a, let's see if I can do something. Uh, okay, let's do this. And I call this, well, bicycle objects. Yeah, obviously it will not work because I am calling the private attributes. So I want to just do this, and this will not work still. So you still cannot call a private attribute outside the class. So the same thing with modifying it. That is why it is a private attribute. If we make this a normal attribute, a normal instance attribute, and we do this, we would make it work. Bicycle has no object, minimum price, because we still have this guy here. We still have this guy. Okay. Yes. So it works. it works very well. What I wanted to do then was do this b dot minimum price. It worked, like everything worked. So because it is private, it is only accessible within the class itself, and that is the encapsulation. We are hiding the data. So anytime we make this private and we try to call it, that was why I was having that error. So let's say I try to print this now. We would get bicycle object has no attributes minimum price because it is private. But within the class, we obviously know that we have something called minimum price. And that is why we can call it within the class itself. But anything outside of the class, we cannot use it. So let me print cell. Let me call the cell method. I'm about to sell this bicycle for $300 because we are calling the minimum price within the class. So I hope everyone understands. It's a bit tricky when you forget it yourself. Yeah, it skipped me. I was thinking of another thing when I was right, like so it skipped. It was when I looked into it, I was like, it is private, so trying to call it outside of the class would not work. So that's the whole idea of encapsulation. You're hiding the value of an attribute. You're hiding an attribute itself. So any other objects not of that class will not be able to call the method the attributes. So let's try something. I've not tried this before, but I've not tried this in my class. So let's see if this works. Class BMX. Obviously, this is a bicycle. So let's define units. So if you're on VS Code, there is this shortcut that would help you call your methods. So init, just type in init. So we have talked about args and quags. So I believe we can still be passing that, but I'm not going to pass in args and quags. Just call super dot init. So please, if you have any question, just put it in the chat. Okay. So it will run the constructor. So let's see if we can call the minimum price. Okay, let's make this a class variable. Let's make this a class variable. So should I pass in? Let's just do pass. Let's not have anything here. So just for reference purposes, let me comment this out first and then print let me print, okay, let me call the self method. Okay, not self bicycle dot minimum price. So because this is not an instant variable, we have to call the class itself. We have to call the class variable itself. So we are calling the class and the variable. So let's print cell. Let's see if this works. So I am about to sell this bicycle for deprecation of in the symbol module is deprecated and will be removed. Blah blah blah. Pass. Oh, oh, we have this. When did we import this in our one? Oh, yeah, that's true. We have not really talked about import and export statements in Python. Wow. Okay, so what we'll do is this. Tomorrow I'll be talking about the imports and we'll be talking about imports, not exports, rather. We'll be talking about import statement, how to import files in Python, because going into Django, we would have to be importing files. So we need to understand how to import files. So tomorrow's class is an hour, so most likely we'll be talking about importing if there are no more like not much questions to answer. So let's rerun this. We should not get any error or warning. So I am about to sell this bicycle for $300. So anytime I increment, okay, so let's do what we did yesterday. Let's plus or equals price. So anytime someone bids, it adds to the price. So 300, then I bid bid 300, then let's call sell. Okay, so anytime this happens, let's call sell here. So we are just going to call the sell.sell. Bicycle up there has no, oh, set bid. We changed it to set bid. Okay. Yeah, it's a setter method. So by convention, setter method should be like so. Minimum price. Oh, we have not changed this guy. Bicycle up there has no, yeah, we made it private, so I forgot to change it here. And I'm about to sell this bicycle for $300, and I'm about to sell this bicycle for $300. This is supposed to make it 600. Why is it not making it 600? It's 600. Exactly. Okay, so at the time of calling it, yeah, we have not changed. Okay, so let me do this. Let's just print this. Let's just do this. I really don't want to return the amount from the sell method. So let's call set bid. So we don't need this sell method anymore. So set bid 300. I'm about to sell this for, why are we still getting? Oh, bicycle. Not self, bicycle. Sorry. Talking and coding is making me lose focus. So anytime we call this 600, now I call another set bid 500. So this should make it 1,100. Exactly. So everything works the way we want it to. Now, let's go back to the class we were creating. So let's make another object here. Let's call this object C equals bicycle steel. So C dot set bid 1,000. So this would return or print out 2,100 exactly. So we are getting, I'm about to sell this bicycle for 2,100. So the reason we have that, I explained this yesterday, because it is a class variable and all objects of that particular class has an access to that attribute itself. So when this guy gets a hold of the set bid method, he can change the minimum price to. So at this point, it is 1,100, and this guy changes it to 2,100. Let's just go back to creating this, and let's create a set bid method. So I have not looked at the chart for a while, so let me go through. Can everyone hear me? The chat has been dry for a while. Can everyone hear me? Wow, just 10 people. We had almost 30 people at one point. Where did everybody go to? Is my network shaky? Is my voice breaking? Hello? Um, can everyone hear me? Hello? Okay, thank you. So now I want to have my own, okay, I want to be able to set a price. So set no, self price equals price. Then let's just create a new, so BMX 100. Now let's call set bid. So we get 100 because that is the variable here. Okay. So I just want to see if we can. So I said the class attributes or the private attribute of a particular class can only be changed within that class itself. Other classes or or objects of other classes does not have access to that particular attribute itself. So I'm trying to see. I want to show you if it is actually possible from a class that is inheriting from the parent class to have an access to this variable here. So before we do that, let's make it a normal attribute and not a private attribute. So let's take out these guys. Let's just print p dots. So we get 300. We get 300. And let's call the class attributes from this guy. So let's print super dots minimum price. So I'm deleting everything here. So we have D, which is just an object of the BMX class. So let's run this. And we get 300, which is the minimum price of bicycle. So we have an access to the class variable, yes. So let's make this private. So you see what we get. So we have made this private, and you can even see that the color changed when we made it private on VS Code. So, and you can see that it's not accessed, meaning it is private. Can only be accessed within that class. But let's see what happens. Super dots. Okay. So if you notice, we have this error. Super object has no attribute, BMX minimum price. And that is because we have made it private. So it is not accessed outside the class itself. And that is the very idea of encapsulation. So we are hiding the attribute of one class such that even when we inherit from another class, we cannot inherit it into another class. We cannot still get an access to those attributes because we have made it private. So that is encapsulation in work here. We are hiding data such that no other person or no other objects rather can have an access to that attribute. I hope this is clear. I believe this is clear. I like to think it is. So if you have any question, you can just include them in the chat. We really didn't do much today. We spent our whole time talking about the errors and stuff like that. So is there any question? Okay. Okay. Someone said it is clear. So I believe we don't have any question based on this or any other topic we've treated. Okay. So I believe this is how we come to the end of this office hours. So you can still read up on OOPs if you are unclear. You can still read up on OOP, inheritance, encapsulation, polymorphism, and abstraction. You can still read up on them, and hopefully it will be clear. So thank you all for joining. This is shorter than our usual class. I hope to see everyone here again tomorrow. Bye and have a lovely day or lovely evening.